exciting episode of the Three Question Show. Today, joining us is Mr. Ajay Shankar. He is from the Netherlands. Ajay, would you introduce yourself?
Yeah. I was not born here. I was born in Qatar in the Middle East, next to Dubai. And my parents are originally, they are from Kerala. And when I was 6 years old, my family moved back to Kerala, Cochin, and I lived there for 10 years. And when I was 16, we moved back to Qatar. And when I was 19, I moved to the Netherlands, and this was in 2013. Um, and I came here for university, and I fell in love with the country. And yeah, I've been living here since then.
So,
Sure.
first question. Um, you have lived, in India, in Qatar, and then in Netherlands, right? Have you lived in any other country, or
Yes, I've lived in the United States for 1 year.
okay? So you've lived, in four countries. I want to know that what are the tools and techniques that you employ to better yourself when you meet people from different cultures.
Right. So I think, honestly, I don't have a trick or a technique. I have something else more. It's more like a way of being, because I believe that there's a general way of being that every human being responds to, no matter like where they're from, which is, if you have an energy within you which is calm, which is relaxed, which is not judging the other person for whatever way he or she comes across right now. um if you are not freaking out when there is a moment of silence in the conversation, if you have that relaxed presence combined with a sense of curiosity, so that means it doesn't matter who you are, everything about you makes me curious. And this is something that I cannot fake. I cannot pretend to be curious. It's hard to teach someone curiosity. So that's the foundation that I started with within myself. And that's me. That's everything has to do with me. But when I'm meeting someone from another culture, that's the second part of the equation. That's them. And this comes down to number one, in my opinion, being socially aware of the social situations. So, in my opinion, I would say before even getting to the cultural aspect of it, it's most like doing the social aspect of things. So, in my opinion, like that's, I don't have a strict textbook definition for this, but that's kind of how I see like social intelligence. So, when you have those things in place, it's way more easier to be aware of the cultural differences. So, for example, we are, the Bruce Lee saying, like, be like water. I think we are embodiments of that statement. And when you're socially aware, you don't have to put any extra energy into thinking, oh, is what I'm saying is appropriate or not? Because you already know that. Yeah. So I don't know if I answered the question right. I
No,
kind of
you
feel like
did.
I
You did.
went.
Of course, when we talk about something that we are passionate about, that's when we actually go off tangent. That I've noticed a lot of people, they are very passionate about certain questions, and then certain things they just answer. Like there's only one answer, so they just give it. But
Yeah.
when I generally like to ask questions for which there are multiple answers, and or there's no right answer, or there could be different
Yeah.
ways of looking at it, and I think that's where we learn, from each other as well. There's something I read recently, on LinkedIn. One of my friends had posted a status, and he says no one wakes up with a malicious intent in their head, you know, to maybe ruin someone else or to do something harmful. Do you actually believe in this statement?
I don't think there are a lot of people who wakes up in the morning and think that I want to ruin someone's day today. But I do think there are a lot of people who wake up in a lot of pain every single day because of the different circumstances that happen in their life, different upbringings, different programming, people around them. And it depends on what kind of people they had around them. It depends on what programming they're used to. I think people respond in different ways. So person A might wake up in the morning and they might resort into drugs or alcohol or overeating or something like that.
mm,
Person B wants to just stay in bed. Person C, their coping mechanism would be to hurt someone else because they kind of feel like temporarily better when they hurt someone. So I don't think it's a pure intention,
mm,
but I more see it as a byproduct as of them covering their pain. So I was listening to a psychologist, an expert, and then she was saying that you probably heard like the narcissist, codependent, psychopath, sociopath, and she says that a sociopath is born as due to the life circumstances and how he or she was raised. But she also mentioned that a psychopath is a born psychopath, and that happens to through like genes, and who knows past life that we don't even know about. So I was kind of shocked to see that research, and it's like, okay, questioning, is there something that we're missing out here? But that's not the majority of the society. But I think most people, they don't wake up thinking that I want to mess someone's day up, but they ended up doing it anyways because it's a byproduct of them trying to cope with their pain and their current situation. So I think that's what I think. Yeah.
Very beautifully answered, Ajay, because this is a realm that doesn't have easy answers. It's not easy to even talk about things like evil and like the intention to do malicious stuff. It's not an easily discussed topic. So thank you for your insight. I really I learned something from what you said, that it's mostly byproduct of pain. Anyway, so third question is
Yeah.
usually a little light and little fun. So the third question I have for you is about films. So can you give me one film that you really absolutely like, and what was like a takeaway from that film?
um it's a second most, I think, second or third most deadliest thing that happened in the United States, the Boston Marathon bombing. So they made a movie about it, and I think one of the reasons why I like this movie is I was in the United States in 2016 in Boston,
mm,
and that's when they made the movie in Boston, and I was working in a hotel, and the entire crew was in the hotel, and I was working in this club launch at that time, and every day at 6:30 in the morning, the director would come knock, and there was nobody there. And then I would ask him about the movie. I would ask him like, "So what are you guys doing today?" And they would say, "Yeah, we are gonna recreate the street where the bombing happened. That's the scene we're gonna shoot today." And the next day, I would come back and I would ask him, "Hey, how did I go?" And I got a lot of real information from the main people in the movie,
mm,
and I was excited to watch this movie, and because I've heard about this incident a lot from people there when I was living in Boston, and also I have a brother living there, so I heard this firsthand from people and how they have witnessed some of the stuff. And the reason why I like that movie is it's a movie about something very evil that happened,
yeah.
but what that movie really portrays is how the people, the government, the police, they all came together to catch the bad guys, to stop this evilness from spreading, and then how people came together to help the wounded, to help the people who got injured in that terrible incident. And basically the police, they're like, who did this, and we had to find this, and they basically reviewed all the footages of all the cameras and just sleepless nights, and they did it for the people. They did it. And imagine like when something bad happens in the world, normal people like us, we run away from it,
mm.
and these people, they have to go towards it. So that's a movie that I watch often. um and yes, it's an evil movie about it, but the part where like people come together, and then the truth about humanity, and then how we are all connected, there's a lot of message. So yeah, highly recommended to watch that movie. It's called Patriots Day. It's on Netflix.
Oh,
Yeah, I remember seeing the trailer or something of this movie. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
on Netflix.
Patriots
Yeah.
Day. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I will watch it.
Yeah,
Okay, so to sort of wind up the show,
yeah.
the guest, has to ask me a question.
I think I would go with the second one. Do you believe that people are evil?
So I don't know, how it would be if I tell you what I inherently think about evil. But I do believe, that evil is there because that only explains all these horrible things like terrorist attacks and assassinations and rapes, and we have quite a lot of that going on of late. So, how does one explain all of that unless there is inherent evil? You know what I mean? But you said, it is because of pain, that it's a byproduct of pain. But I would like to add that it is a byproduct of the environment as well. So, of course, the pain being caused by the environment in which the person grows up, or something that he or she was subjected to. So, I think that plays a lot of part in shaping up the evil nature of a person. Um, but I want to tell you a little story, about a shooting. It is popularly known as the Long Island train shooting incident in the US, where there was this man who one day walked into a crowded train in New York, and then he shot people. I think he killed about six, and then another 19 or 20 were injured critically. And the train stopped, of course, some 2 3 minutes later at some station, and then everyone safely got down, and then they pinned him down. And there was, I think, a little time gap where he was changing his cartridges, and that's when people rushed in and pinned him down. And while they were pinning him down, um, he was actually begging people, saying, "Oh my God, I don't know what I did, and like, don't do anything to me," kind of. So it kind of shows that he was, afraid of his life being taken away. When people usually do get involved in this kind of mass shootings and other kind of terrorist activities, they don't really care about their own lives, and hence you can argue that it's a kind of mental disorder. But this clearly was not. He knew what he was doing. He knew the repercussions of it, and then he was then afraid for his own life. Um, so I was very interested to know what his reasons were, and when I read up more, I understood that he came from a very wealthy background in Jamaica, and then he moved to the United States, and then he immediately felt discriminated, and he felt he was subjected to a lot of systemic racism. He had a history of abusing his employers, and he used to openly threaten with language that is, indicative of future violence. So he was able to travel with all of this. He was able to travel to California, procure firearms, come back to New York, and then shoot a bunch of people. So I think that indicates that it was well planned. He was definitely not mentally retarded or something. He just had this environment in which he was raised, coming from a rich family, and then suddenly losing everything, coming to the United States, and then from his point of view, suffering. So it's the environment that caused the pain. And then uh, I think a lot of people do go through similar situations, but they don't end up shooting everybody. So unless there was some factor of inherent evil in this person, I don't think he would have done what he did. So that is my way of looking at it. I don't know, I might be wrong, but that's just a maybe very simplistic black and white way of viewing things. But I think that's what it is.
Yeah, it's really difficult to justify in your head for someone who have done evil things. It's just our mind is like, I don't care what, you can't do that. No, I really appreciate that, and this has been a great conversation. I think you're a great listener. You have a special way of asking people questions, and you have an open mind when it comes to listening to things. Like, even if you have a different opinion about it, I think you'll listen to it. So I think that's a great quality that you have as well.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. Thank you.